Monday! Welcome to Screen Junkies Universe. I am so happy and delighted today to be joined by some of my favorite people, Mr. Dan Murrell.
Hi.
Hello. Happy Monday. Mr. Spencer Gilbert.
Good mythical Monday. Uh-oh. Can we say that? No, wait up soon. Happy Monday.
We certainly cannot, and by the end of this video, we will be shut down. Miss Roxy Striar, hello and welcome.
Cat's out of the bag. I'm here.
Cat is out of the bag. Roxy is here with us today. We're going to talk about what's new on Netflix. We're going to talk about Quentin Tarantino's new movie, which actually sounds pretty amazing. I don't know why I'm surprised by that. Quentin makes great movies. And then we're going to talk about the two trailers that came out, The Incredibles 2 and A Wrinkle in Time. Get everybody's take on that. Let's start with Netflix. So at the end of each month, Netflix releases the list of what's coming the following month. We're going to try and have...
And they pull things. They're like a capricious god. They give and they taketh away.
They give and they taketh away. Are you sad that something's leaving? Is there something you're specifically pissed off about?
Well, I'm always pissed because I never read ahead to find out what's leaving. I just go to like finish a show I started watching and it's gone.
Yeah.
They did that for Buffy for me. Bitter.
Yeah.
Still.
They did that for Larry Sanders. I think they pulled that. But yeah, you know, it happens.
This is the theme
I'm an
to
adult.
Larry show.
I'll move on.
The theme to Larry show.
There's a lot of stuff going away that people should watch.
No, I don't think so. It was close enough, but not on the...
Not totally on it. I thought I nailed it.
Yeah.
So highlights this month that are actually coming to Netflix include Bright, which... This is the Will Smith, David Ayer directed movie that's exclusively coming to Netflix. And a lot of people are wondering if this should have had a theatrical release. This is about Will Smith stars as the Los Angeles Police Department police officer who teams up with an orc, as you do, played by Joel Edgerton, in a world both human and mythical creatures. So this is the kind of movie that seems like it would play better on a big screen in some ways. But curious about your take. Are you looking forward to Bright?
I did not realize it was coming out in December. That's my thing with movies, particularly on Netflix, is they don't have the same kind of like I remember the Brad Pitt movie War Machine. It was coming out on Netflix and like they had billboards, but that's like, you know, it's pretty much it. So I always forget that, oh yeah, it's coming out on Netflix. I think we're still working on that prestige thing of just like, I think what they want is like the movie on Netflix is the same kind of hype as the movie that's coming out in theaters, and I don't think we're quite there yet. So I don't know, that looks interesting. We'll see.
Yeah, isn't there didn't Mudbound come out on Netflix?
Mudbound did come out on Netflix.
I haven't watched it yet, and everyone's talking about Mudbound. There was also our own Billy Patterson, The Business, watched the Jim Carrey. Come up, Billy, and tell us about this since this is on Netflix.
I really want to see this, yeah.
Oh, Andy? Oh, yeah, I want to see that.
The Andy
Kaufman one? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Man on the Moon, it's one of my favorite movies. Andy Kaufman is just totally an enigma that I'm so into. But this documentary, I suggest watching it because a couple weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago now, we were like, oh no, Jim Carrey's going crazy, like with the red carpet and everything. I don't think he's going crazy. I think this is how Jim Carrey has always felt. This is how he's always thought. And it's just now he's gotten to a point where he's like, I don't care if you know how I feel anymore. But it's more of they do show like a lot of what a nightmare he was on that set, but also how strange things got. Like he became Andy, and like the family kind of like accepted him as Andy. So it was kind of like this therapeutic role playing that just kind of got out of control. And he's just like, your sense of self is so like self-made that when you discard it and take on another one, and then you discard that one, he's like, I didn't know how to be Jim afterwards. It was very strange. So it's actually like a very interesting retrospective of like your identity and sense of self, which I was not expecting. I was expecting it to just be like, I went kind of crazy during this movie.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But like, I guess all this footage Universal withheld literally because they were like, we just don't want Jim Carrey to look like an asshole.
And then they didn't care anymore.
No.
You're making her gag, Billy.
Driving off the set.
The thought of the Jim Carrey, Andy Kaufman documentary makes her ill, physically ill. I think that sounds great. Mudbound, I've been hearing a lot of good things about. That's all available on Netflix right now, so you can watch that this weekend. But coming in December is Bright, among other things. Roxy, do you have a take on Bright?
I like all the people involved. I think that it's hard when you don't set up a date that you have to go see something to get excited about it. Like, I could go home and watch it on my couch at any point. So that's where the hype just falls flat.
Why does that seem to work though with television shows on Netflix? Have you we all get excited about things like Stranger Things season 2. We get excited
that's how we
about
watch TV.
It's conditioning, I think. You're used to watching TV shows on TV, and you can skip, and it's episodic and stuff. Whereas with a movie, it's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna go see that, and it's like, it's kind of merging those two things. For me, that's why I have a little bit of trouble, is just getting it right in my head. And it's just us. It's just because we're old and people below us, it's not a big deal. Like, what are you talking about? It's a picture thing. I just watch it. But it's a bit of an adjustment. Mudbound though. What they're doing with Mudbound is a little different, because that was a movie that came out in theaters for an Oscar run. Like they qualified it for the Oscars, and now I love that it's available on Netflix, because that's a movie that's like should be seen, and I love that it's on Netflix so soon, because that's but that didn't do Idris Elba any favors with Beasts of No Nation, because I think he didn't maybe not get an Oscar nomination because
or just the film in total.
Yeah, it's just so weird. I don't know. It's a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
I think everyone's trying to adjust.
Beasts of No Nation is so great, and you guys haven't seen it. I highly suggest that you check it out from last season. Last year it got, it did get some recognition at the Spirit Awards, but it just didn't go into
got a
Oscar
Golden Globe.
Yeah.
We know how Spencer feels about the Golden Globe.
It's in my queue behind Guy's Grocery Games.
I always feel like with the Oscar films, though, why don't they set up a partnership? And I don't know how, the rights were probably so complicated for this, but don't you feel that if they were all of the in contention films were streaming, even the shorts were streaming in one place for the 2 months leading up, we would all just watch that?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Even if you had to pay a couple bucks?
Sure, for all the Oscar movies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course. Because why not?
I mean, the rights would be super complicated, but suggestion on that. Is there anything you're particularly looking forward to?
In all of December?
In all of December, besides having a break. We also are going to have Dave Chappelle. Okay, so he negotiated a deal for $20 million for his Netflix specials, the third of which is coming out.
Got to make up for Chappelle Show season 3 or whatever that he left on the table.
$60 million?
$20
million per special,
Wow.
Exactly. For 3 specials, the third, so it's $60 million total, and the third special is coming out this month. Have you seen any of the ones that came out so far?
Yeah, I saw both of them. One, I thought the second one was better than the first, and you're kind of seeing him get his legs back under him. But yeah, it's great.
He's awesome. I think he's great.
I love what Netflix is doing. They're just like, all right, you're a stand-up comic. Here, we'll take you. The Jerry Seinfeld one was awesome. I think they're working with Chris Rock for his next thing, and just any big stand-up. Now Netflix is the place you go to see their specials.
It's a large amount of money, though, for one special, $20 million. What do you think?
I mean, I think Netflix is it's like monopoly money at Netflix at this point. They're like, Baz Luhrmann, $140 million. Dave Chappelle, $20 million. It doesn't matter. It's the amount. They just want the content. It's like the South Park joke. Netflix, you're greenlit. It's like they're just giving money out right now.
Do you think they're going to get themselves in trouble then at some point?
I think they're going to get themselves in a lot of trouble.
Well, I think they're just trying to outspend everybody else to the point where they stop trying to compete with Netflix, and it's just Netflix.
Which is not going to happen because companies with so much money to spend haven't even really started to and are going to be starting to shortly in terms of Apple and things like that. So I don't know. It's an interesting strategy, but I do wonder, that's a lot of money to be spending on three specials that, I mean, how large is the appeal? I watched them. They were great, but I have to wonder how broad the appeal is. Also coming to the Netflix is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, V for Vendetta, 8 Mile, Full Metal Jacket, and we've been talking about this one recently, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Yeah.
Sequel.
Classic.
I'm all in on that.
Well, the sequel's not as good. I actually watched the sequel pretty recently after. It's just a complete repeat of every single joke in the first one. And I feel for him because he made it. It came out the year after the first one, so clearly there's let's do it again, baby. We're doing everything back together with some very unfortunate African stereotypes peppered throughout. It's just in every way inferior to Pet Detective,
except for the Birthing the Rhino.
Yes.
That is hilarious.
Still so funny.
It's one of the
to see
funniest things.
Grown naked man from finger to toe emerge from a rhinoceros's butthole.
So
is
worth a
comedy
rewatch
gold.
or no?
Just that part.
Just that one scene. You can find that on
Watch
YouTube.
the first one
I bet.
again. The first one holds up.
By the way, there's some stuff going away that people I think have to watch. The Crown for season 2. I'm excited for next month.
Yeah.
Because I just finished The Crown season 1. That's the other problem with Netflix is you finish things like a year after they come out. The Crown season 2 is coming out, but then
I was not into that.
Oh, I loved how low stakes it was.
Like the one episode, The Fog, nothing happened. Everybody's like, that's the most beautiful thing that ever happened.
That was the one episode where stuff happened.
Everybody's like,
There's
it's
a
so
poison fog in all of London, and they had to do something about
I just
it.
wasn't that into it.
Oh, wow.
I'm the TV girl. I get to say nothing really happened.
Maybe my favorite episode of the series, but okay.
Everybody says that. It's just foggy out.
It was poison cold fog.
Fog. It was deadly fog.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. They tried in the
That's out of the
episode.
bag.
Winston
Figure it
Churchill's
out.
entire legacy was at stake. That one incident. He was going to be
Everything else was
removed.
like, oh, will she take her husband's name? Like, nothing else in the show mattered. The fog was the one thing that mattered.
Not wavering even a little bit. Like totally in
How
on
does
this.
poison fog not matter?
I just think that it wasn't fun.
Oh, it wasn't.
Okay.
Why?
The rest of the show wasn't fun either.
I know. That's why I had a problem with the show.
Well, anyway, I'm looking forward to the apparently dull, funless,
Lifeless.
actionless show that
You
we're
and everybody else in the entire world. Minus me.
And but going away, Nightcrawler's going away.
Oh, see that.
Great movie. Jake Gyllenhaal should have been nominated for an Oscar
Yep.
for that
Yeah.
movie. Wasn't.
Riz Ahmed really getting his breakout. in
Riz
that.
Ahmed was so good in
So
that movie. The Queen of Versailles, which is an amazing documentary
documentary,
about this rich couple who's like building this massive house in Florida based off of Versailles, and then the financial crisis happens, and they just lose everything, and they're just in this crumbling house with dog poop all over it, and watch it. It's so good.
Oh my God! Fuller House season 3's coming.
And Full House season 3 is
Oh, God, are
replacing.
you sure you're like the TV person?
I love that show. I know nobody else likes it, but I'm all in on that
All
one
right.
too.
I'll
No, a lot
stand
of
with the
people do.
Crown and
Wow.
against Fuller House.
Losing all of my credibility, just watching it crumble as I sit here.
A lot of people like that. Also coming is Bill Nye Saves the World season 2, which is exciting. I will say that probably some people are wondering why we're not talking about the biggest thing on Netflix right now, which is The Punisher, which was released this weekend. The reason is
haven't
that
finished.
one of us spent the entire weekend watching 13 episodes of television.
I commend you.
I'll
Good
let
job.
you guess which
Listen,
one.
I went to see
She's
three.
pointing at herself. It's pretty hard to figure it out.
I went to see Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, the new Martin McDonagh movie. That's my Punisher, Roth. That was my Punisher. Was the new Martin McDonagh movie?
I would love to see the new Martin McDonagh movie. I'm the only one that likes 7 Psychopaths in the world.
So I went and saw. We got to see Coco. I went and saw that.
Coco was fantastic.
I
We'll
took
talk
my
about
girlfriend
that
to see
later.
Justice League because she hadn't seen it. And I promised I'd go see it with her. And I went to see Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And by the way, and I'm angry that no one told me this, there's a new season of the Great British Baking Show available on Netflix that no one told me about. So I watched 3 episodes
Thanks for
of
the
that.
heads up.
I will. We're going to talk about The Punisher probably tomorrow. We're going to gather the humans that, like myself, couched this weekend after seeing Coco and watch The Punisher. But I will say this: it's great.
I'm 7 episodes in, just finished episode 7, which was a bad place to stop because, like, holy crap, what's going on? I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It was really entertaining, but it's also dark and twisted and kind of like what I want Walking Dead to be, but more. I'm really in. So before I was debating, is this going to be entertaining or am I going to just be thinking about all of the gun violence? And it is entertaining to me.
It's not even just entertaining. I think it actually is like a really great character study, and it's one of these shows that the Marvel Netflix series are the least sort of superhero-like, but The Punisher really feels like anyone could watch it because if you connect with the Punisher as a character from the comics, great, but you don't have to. If you don't, it's just its own sort of like very strong look at war, violence, pain, retribution.
Yes.
It's an incredibly well-crafted character study, not just for him, but a couple of the other minor characters in the show as well.
Entertaining is a little too light of a word. You're
No,
right,
but yeah, it is entertaining. It's engaging.
It makes me think. It
Yeah.
does make me think, and there's different characters that embody different things that happen, and I just think that they're doing an excellent job with it.
Yeah.
So far.
My I was watching it at home, and my boyfriend was sort of sitting at the kitchen table, kept saying he was going to go do some work in his little workshop area. And then he just kept bringing more and more things out to the living room because he couldn't stop watching the show. Yeah.
Is your boyfriend Santa Claus?
He is Santa. I am Mrs. Claus. And I'm glad you guys all know that now because you're on my naughty list for not watching
All of us?
The Punisher.
Man,
You're on my nice list.
for not watching the Punisher?
You didn't tell us to watch it
made
beforehand.
alternative-
You after
I
the fact
sent you
said
an email. I
It's
sent you an
13
email on Friday.
episodes.
I sent you an email on Friday. I sent you an email on Friday. We had talked about this.
What did it say?
It's 13 episodes, and it just said who's watching.
It said who's watching.
and I emailed, and we all emailed you back. I emailed you back, and I said, "Oof!" Literally, these are my words. Oof! 13 episodes. I don't think I can make
You
it
said
through
I'll
this
probably
weekend.
watch 8.
I did not say that.
I'm gonna pull up.
Someone
the
else
email.
said that, and I will pull up my emails, and we'll compare.
Roll the tape.
whether I said anything or not, I think it was a given. I wouldn't put in the extra
Yeah,
work.
that's-
That's a safe assumption.
But except that you ended up watching Stranger Things, so I thought
Oh,
maybe,
that weekend. Well,
maybe-
yeah. I'm full of surprises.
Yeah. You just never know
Likes
what
to
you're
keep
gonna
them
get
on
with
their toes.
Spencer. He's
Cat's
like,
out of the bag.
Spencer's like a
saying that,
box
Roxy.
of chocolate.
Because the phrase is ridiculous.
When in
That's
Rome.
just as much the cat being out of the bag as anything else.
So Roxy that came in this morning as we were trying to put this is you know what, I give up.
We've
This
jumped
is
the
where we
rails.
this is where we do it. Roxy came in this morning like having a serious hot take on the phrase "the cat's out of the bag." And
Would you
why
like to
don't we
share it,
just take
Roxy?
60 seconds?
You clearly
after
want to
share
talk
it?
about the cat being out of the
It just
bag.
bothers me for many reasons because I feel like if you got the cat in the bag in the first place, you could probably get it back in the bag once it comes out. And
but
also,
not
why did
easily.
you put your freaking cat in a bag? That's rude, though. I don't even love animals that much, and I know not to do that.
Well,
That's
as a
how I
fellow
feel.
not animal lover, how else are you going to drown your cat?
That's a great question. But then if he's out of the bag, then it's like more cat's dead. So why isn't that the expression?
Well, the cat's dead. Dan, care to weigh in?
No.
No, we're not
When in
drowning.
Rome.
We're not going to drown.
Well, when in Rome.
Speaking of unnecessarily violent, so the reason that people I hate this.
But I
because
just wanna
they,
point
like,
out-
Can we not talk about cat drowning anymore?
I
Let's
do
just
like-
I didn't
move
bring
away
that
from
part
cat
up.
I do like
drowning.
cats, but they really get the short end of the stick as far as idioms go because it's always the cat being out of the bag, or you're skinning a cat,
Yeah.
or the cat's dying until 9 lives and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Poor cats. They
I
really
know,
don't have
I
it
agree.
good as far as language goes.
We live in a catist world.
Yeah.
We do. And if you watch, I'm not even kidding, if you watch most media, the dog is always, and I love dogs too, by the way. I love all animals.
Yeah, they're
well, there's some like serpents I don't love and things like that. But
Serpents.
But if you,
ruined Dan's ship.
if you are watching in media, cats are always portrayed as like sneaky and nasty and not well liked, and it's unfair. And speaking of unfair and unrelenting violence, Quentin Tarantino's 9th movie,
Which
segue.
has more than 9 lives.
which has more than 9. This movie actually sounds pretty intriguing. So he has been talking about it. It's going to Sony, and he's been talking about it with IndieWire. And he said it's not Charles Manson. It's 1969. People have been speculating that it was a film about Charles Manson, but here's the actual synopsis via Vanity Fair. Set in Los Angeles in the summer of 1969, Tarantino's upcoming movie focuses on a male TV actor who's had one hit series and is looking for a way to get into the film business. His sidekick, who's also his stunt double, is looking for the same thing. The horrific murder of Sharon Tate and 4 of her friends by Charles Manson's cult of followers serves as a backdrop for the main story. So it sounds to me it's just like about the business and the pall of the Manson murders over Los Angeles and Hollywood at that time.
What's the opposite of rest in peace?
Don't.
Considering that he died yesterday.
Yeah, don't rest in peace. Rest in
Rest in
non-peace.
Sure.
non-peace.
Burn in
Drip.
hell?
Burn in hell.
Perhaps. Interesting timing, though, that this
It
would be
is,
happening
yeah.
in the news at the exact same time as
Well, it's-
Charles Manson himself died.
I mean, this is one of the craziest times of Hollywood, one of the craziest stories that there is. So obviously, it's something that needs to be told. It does feel a little bizarre that yesterday is the day that he passed. But I don't think we need to be saying rest in peace.
No. Oh, no,
So-
definitely not. That's why, the
Yeah.
opposite of that. But it's just weird. Sometimes these things happen in the zeitgeist. It's just like this happens. This is like this movie is ramping up at the same time as like the real life events, and I don't know. It's just so weird how that just these
Kismet.
confluence
It's
of
like a
events
geostorm
sometimes. Yeah,
situation.
It is 5 minutes of geostorm.
I think that's maybe why they've wanted to clarify that this isn't about Manson per se, because probably there's going to be a million things about Manson.
Yeah.
There already have been, but certainly now that he's passed, there's probably going to be a million other looks. I mean, Charles Manson is also, it's just such in as far as we know, what I think is fascinating about our response to him too, and a correct response, is that he manipulated people into doing violence, right? But he didn't do it himself. And it's right that he was in jail all those years for doing that. But it is one of those things where I think that people are fascinated with him because how was he able to so skillfully manipulate people?
Well, have you been looking at all the headlines? It's kind of bizarre. It's like brilliant intellect who also was a murderer died. Like
A murderer.
the
who
way
was
that they're all
smart.
phrasing it is so. It's like
Famed wild-eyed murderer
While
with a
he's-
rakish grin and a debonair style.
But exactly, that's like kind of how all the headlines are reading after he died, and it's kind of strange because it's like, what? Like, oh, he did murder people, but he was also real smart, guys.
So-
like very intelligent.
So the headline should just be like, mass conspiracy to commit murder, scumbag, cult leader Charles Manson dead.
yeah, I guess.
How about insane man with swastika tattooed on head, dead at 83? That kind of sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
Also a
about
good
right.
description.
I read a quote that said, it kind of put it for me. It said, to call this movie to say this is a movie about Charles Manson would be to say that Inglourious Basterds was a movie about Hitler, which is what the quote that I read, I think, from somebody at Sony, which kind of put it in perspective. It's like,
Yeah.
he's a figure, but not like, Hitler was in Inglourious Basterds for like 10 minutes, but he was kind of the driving force behind the movie. So I guess that kind of probably sums it up.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just going to be. I mean, it's interesting to choose that time period, but then not have that be the focus, though. However, and have it be like a aspect of it.
Tarantino. He likes to flip the script.
Yeah, I'm excited because it seems like he's kind of leaving the genre, the Western and the Kung Fu stuff aside and getting back to like a crime story in Los Angeles. You know, in the line of Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown. Like, I'm excited for him to get back to that.
Me too.
Do you guys have a favorite Tarantino?
Inglourious Basterds is my favorite.
Probably Pulp
Pulp
Fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mine too.
Christoph Waltz. And I mean, I just, from the opening scene, top to bottom of that movie, it's funny. It's my favorite.
One of the ones that he wrote, though, that I absolutely love is True Romance.
It's great too.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. But there's so much that I love about the simplicity of Reservoir Dogs, but it's so uncomfortable to watch, you know, because it is just the torture and the violence and the pain of it.
For me, it's like one of those you watch it once and you know what it is, and it's a great film, but it's like, why put yourself through that again?
Yeah.
It's very 90s. It was in that kind of from 90 to 95. You had a lot of movies that were just like, people will watch people talking on camera, and so there was a lot of movies of just people talking on camera, and like the dialogue's great.
It works when you're Quentin Tarantino.
It works when
Yeah.
you're Quentin Tarantino, but it also is the further we get away from that era, the more it feels very much like part of that first wave 90s independent. You know, it's aged a bit. It's aged a bit. I'm not saying it's bad. I still watch it from time to time, but it definitely, for me, has not dated as well as some of his other. Pulp Fiction, I don't think has aged really much at all.
Except for Quentin Tarantino giving himself the N-word monologue.
Yeah.
That I don't. That's really weird.
That's super
Why?
uncomfortable. And why
Why?
why ever? I think
He's like, I'm going to do this one.
Yeah.
That's my part. Like,
Yeah.
No, don't.
What?
That should be no one's part.
I feel like Reservoir Dogs also might feel like it's aged a little more because it's been referenced so much.
Yeah.
You know, people have riffed off Reservoir Dogs so much at this point that
Well,
maybe
it
that.
itself was a riff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's maybe why. I don't know. Also, Pulp Fiction has more layers. There's moments of fun in it, you know, and a really bad dad joke that I happen to love.
See, unlike The Crown, it's fun.
Catch up. Yeah, but
But not everything in this
okay
world
that
is fun.
But there's a difference too.
I know.
There's a difference between it's not fun and nothing is happening with a poison fog.
Nothing really was happening.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of objectively untrue, but okay. I'm not going to argue the point.
Nothing happened.
You know where something is happening? The Incredibles 2. The teaser was released. We are not going to take a look at that. You guys should go watch it and come back and discuss your thoughts and feelings. I made these guys watch it. Roxy, what did you think?
Babies, man. Mm-hmm. They're just there with their faces and stuff. I'm gonna see it because it looks fine.
Yeah. Okay. That's anti-baby, pro-movie stance. I like babies and I like the look of this movie. It's a teaser, obviously, but it tells you that it's probably going to center somewhat around picking up right after Incredibles 1 left off and center around Jack's powers and growth into a out-of-control toddler, maybe. And yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. Jack, a lot of people have been saying, oh, Jack's just kind of like Superman. I will say that I think he's an incredibly adorable cartoon baby. I also generally like babies. But that it looks
Way
like
to take a weak stance, guys. Liking babies at the table.
But it looks like a fun little teaser. It doesn't say much, but yeah, it just sets that up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's for me as a reminder that The Incredibles 2 is indeed coming out. It's good to know. And I await more information.
And how you feel about babies is...
Yeah, what's your baby stance?
Pixar does cute babies. They do cute babies. They do cute animals. Yeah. They do cute emotions. Mm-hmm. They do cute. That's what they do. Pixar. They should add that to the building. Pixar.
We do cute.
We do cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do cute pretty well.
Except for all the humans in Toy Story.
Those are terrifying.
Grotesque, yeah.
That's just disgusting. Although adult humans in most of the things.
Yeah.
Except for the Incredibles.
It's something about their teeth.
Is it the teeth?
Yeah, I don't know. They all like have pointy teeth.
Yeah.
I think it's they just don't belong. Right? Like they are the thing that doesn't fit in this world of magic.
That's why
and
Cars
wonder.
was smart, was to cram them into the car itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and Cars was also smart to clearly like have murdered all of them. The adult human beings.
Yeah. You didn't over that.
Ava DuVernay's A Wrinkle in Time also had a trailer released, which I gotta say, I don't think any of us have read the book. Is that correct?
Sadly, yes.
Sadly, yes. And I think, do you guys get to the point when you're nearing the release of a movie when you just decide you're not going to read the book? That
Yeah,
you're
that
going
happens to
read
me.
the movie?
That train came and went with Murder on the Orient Express. It's like, I should read it. Then it came out and went, and now I don't think I'll read it.
Usually
But
it makes
also didn't see the
you...
movie.
I also didn't see the movie.
So you could still do it.
I guess I could.
Usually I feel like if you read the book, you end up liking the movie less. So I don't like to do that. It happened to me. I got burned with Stuart Little and never again.
Okay.
And I'm taking a lot of definitive, strong stances
So
today.
I'm loving Roxy today because this is what I'm taking away. Screw you, Stuart Little. Screw you, babies. Double screw you, cats. And you know what, London? Die in that fog. That's my takeaway.
I'm kind of the only one actually standing up for the cats. Why are you in the bag?
Finally found someone saltier than me.
You know what I mean? No, it happened with me with Lovely Bones too. Like, you read the book and it's awesome. You go see the movie and it's like, almost.
Yeah. I'm at the point where I don't want to have a basis of comparison with a movie. Like, if I haven't read the book, I'll read it after. Like, I read Gone Girl after I saw the movie because I feel like there is that thing that creeps in. Like, if there is an adaptation of a book that I have read, I'm like, it's distracting. Like, not even if it's bad, but just like, but they didn't put this in. Oh, they left that out. Or they changed that. Or they did, whereas if you watch the movie, then you've seen the movie, and then the book is generally a more expansive text to the movie instead of like, oh, what about that? I remember that happened to me with Harry Potter. I saw the first movie before I'd read any of the books, and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. I've never seen this world before. And then the second movie, I'd read the books in the year since, and I was just like, yeah, I know it's going to happen. Yeah.
Also, that second movie.
And the second movie's
not the best in the series.
A little too much of an adaptation.
There we go. Finally, some negativity from that side of the room. Yes.
I still love it. It's just not the best in the series, but that's irrational on my part. What did you think of Gone Girl, the book, after you saw the movie? Curious.
I liked it.
Yeah,
like both of them.
I read the book first,
Yeah.
and I love them both. But I will say that I did have the experience of, it's missing this nuance.
They did
about
miss
these
the nuance
characters.
about Amy being
Yes.
two separate kind of like they really did not separate how much of what she was doing before was like the show and then who she was. Like, yeah, they did strip a lot of her nuance out, which I didn't like. I agree. She was a much more full-fledged character in the book than she was in the movie.
What about-
It has nothing to do with the topic that we're talking about. But
Neil
it's just-
Patrick Harris's character, I hear that really changed from the book to the movie.
It did. I mean, I don't think that actually like sort of hurt it as much as in the book, like any book, you're just able to get way more intimate with the characters, and it really is kind of a study in toxic relationships, but much more. Amy is definitely the villain, but it's much more on both sides of that equation and how much she's trying to construct this identity of the cool girl in order to attract a man, and how much that is actually mirroring things that do actually happen with women who are not, say, psychopathically insane and murderous.
Story of your life, Spencer, am I right?
What?
No. What I did notice about The Wrinkle in Time, though, two things about Wrinkle in Time that I noticed.
idea.
One, it's great to see Oprah playing herself as like the goddess of time.
Yeah.
But with
And
gems on her face.
With gems on her face. That's
Yeah.
her natural form. We all know this. Number two, we took Stranger Things to task for only being able to explain, or no, what was it we just took to task about the pencil and the paper? Yeah, we took Stranger Things to task for only being able to explain wormholes by
dimensions with that?
poking a pen or a pencil through a piece of paper. Apparently, Wrinkle in Time, now taking from Stranger Things, conversely, the only way
The
to
ant on the
explain
string.
is ants on strings. It's the only way to explain physics.
There's only
also.
so many
So it's-
metaphors out there. We're
Yeah.
talking about a cat or alternate dimensions. Like English is very limited, and that's
Ants
what we
on
got.
strings and pencils through paper. The only two ways to explain.
Yeah, I mean, look, this visually looks incredible, and I don't say that often about heavily CGI'd movies, but just the cast and the look of it looks great. Probably because I haven't read the book, the story of the trailer seems pretty generic, but I'm sure they're cutting all that out for just the big shots. So I'm still excited.
The cast is stacked. I have no feelings on this movie going into it. I'll see it, and that's probably a good thing because it just has great characters in it. I'm like, I don't know what's really happening. You guys are on some journey where you teleport or something. Something's happening.
Yeah, I
with
think
the
that's the
ants.
best way to go in. You're right.
Yeah, so great. It can't really let me down because if it sucks, well, it sucked.
There's a lot that I'm excited about in this. First of all, I'm such a fan of Ava DuVernay's as a director, so I believe in her and her ability to execute a vision.
I feel like I've been pronouncing that wrong for a really long time. Is it not DuVernay's?
I think it's DuVernay.
DuVernay?
Ava DuVernay.
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 That sounds very fancy, though.
Yeah, I over fancify things for sure.
That's the best thing to do with things is make them more fancy. Yeah, so that I'm very excited about. I think this is an incredible cast. It looks like a little hero's journey, which we've seen before, but it's still something that I really enjoy. It's fantastical. It's checking a lot of my boxes. You got witches, a lot of things that I like in there. Time travel, big color. We don't see a lot of rich, saturated color in movies
Yeah, give us the
anymore.
color.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of like just bright, unabashedly bright, vivid color.
Tell that to the Fog episode.
Boy,
I'm just trying, like in terms of the palette. I'm serious. Like there's
I
a lot
agree.
of like dreary, muted, desaturated stuff. I'm not talking about DC specifically, so don't yell at me.
You want fun.
Not just fun, but like if you're gonna go into a fantasy realm, and that is one of the things that the first two Harry Potter movies did. Only it was a bit flat, right?
It's darker.
Right? Yeah.
There's a lot more interiors.
A lot more interiors
Castles at night
and
and
castles.
stuff.
And then they did kind of like in the third film, they did desaturate a little bit. It was
Yes,
still a beautiful
yeah.
film. But I just feel like if you're going to go into magical, mystical realms, why not do it?
Yeah.
Make it big.
I would describe it as sumptuous.
Yes.
I
Word
would
of the
say sumptuous as well, which is a
Hey,
word of the day.
sumptuous.
Billy's leaning over and looking at me like, look, you've gone on a thing about cats, and now I'm wrapping you up.
I feel like I am partially responsible for that. I'm very sorry.
Thank you for joining us today. I just want to harken back to what Dan Murrell said about everyone younger than us, which is basically picture good, see it now, which is it's what we hope we feel and think about this show, picture good, watch it now.
I think it's a bit of a simplification, but okay.
Yes, that's what I heard Dan say.
We all only communicate in emoji.
Do you smell toast?
What's going on here?
You act like this is anything different or new.
Fair.
Yeah, fair. Okay, we'll see you with more of this tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Maybe. I don't know.